Do is take this time that we have together to really just go through charts, answer questions, anything like that. I do appreciate you guys getting on. We don't have a huge turnout, which is actually pretty beneficial. That means we can, answer some more intricate questions or anything that you guys are having troubles with. If you guys don't have any questions off the bat, then I'm basically just going to click through a bunch of charts and then just talk about what I see. Ultimately, what my goal is, or our goal is in trading, is to be able to, or for swing trading at least, is to catch low risk entries and hold them for, 3 to 5 days. But, of course, when the opportunity arises, hold them for much longer. Before we get started, can you guys see my chart? I have a chart of Roku up. Um, so let me know if you can see the chart. You can hear me, all those good things, so that I know that I'm not talking to a wall. Can I use the chat? Yes, we can hear and see the screen. Okay, perfect. Okay, so if you guys have questions, just throw it in the chat. If not, then I'm just gonna click through some charts, and then what we'll do is just see how we can implement swing trading into our system. What I like to do is on the weekends or every once a month or whatever. I like to really look at these charts from a very objective point of view and see, okay, how can I get into some of these trades? How can I build an edge around it? This is what I've done over the years, which is how I've built the system that I've built. So what we're looking at right now is just it's a watch list. It's about 500 names. It is stocks that have moved 50% in 3 months with an ADR of 3%, average volume of 750,000, is priced over $3. So this is going to give us a big wide screen. And what we're going to do is just click through and figure out kind of where are the best entries and how can we build the trade. Build a system around it. So, I'm not that interested in stocks that are, this is a junk stock, right? And so we want to avoid a bunch of junk, and we want to build systems around high quality stocks. So this is a great example, right? And so we have a few areas where I think you can build a swing trading system around. So it would be these two entries. So May 16th and June 5th. So you can see here, I did trade this here. As you can tell, I've already had some notes on the chart. So the very first thing I look at is make sure that the stock is showing relative strength. It is showing linear movement, okay, and it's in a uptrend, okay. And so what I'm looking for is to find stocks that have all of those criterias, and I put them in a watch list, okay. And then once they're in a watch list here, I wait for tight action, okay, and then I enter when it comes out of that tight area. And so these are the kind of things that I take note of when I'm clicking through and I'm building my system and I'm doing my deep dives into how do I improve my edge. I look at all these characteristics. So it was within a week or two of an earnings. Okay, so I keep that in mind. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tight closes. Okay, and then it comes out. It doesn't come out on super high volume, as you can see. So I keep that in mind too. So now I start to think maybe maybe volume at the breakout is not as important as maybe I once thought, because clearly it worked. But maybe it has some significance. So you pay attention, you write things down, and you take notes, and that is how you build the system. So it closes at the very high of the day, right there, right? And it has immediate follow through, and then the low of the day never gets violated. Okay, so it sets up again, and then there's another valid entry here. So let's take a look. Let's pretend like this is a new entry here. So what was happening before the breakout? Well, it's within the first couple of weeks of a earnings gap. It's linear. There's no breaks below the 21-day moving average. You have a few tight closes here, and then again you have a breakout. It closes above the range near the high of the day. And then you have that immediate follow through. So as you go through these types of charts, and as you go through hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of these, this is what you want to make note of, and you want to write it down on a piece of paper. You want to make a spreadsheet. You want to do as much as you can so that you can start to see a pattern, because these things repeat over and over and over again. And as we click through, we want to look for, okay, where are there any spots in here that fit kind of my criteria? This might fit a criteria. It has the linear movement, nice tight closes, has a small gap up, and it closes pretty strong. Now, you have to be realistic. Would you enter this trade? 1.7 ATR from the low, 3 ATR from the 21-day moving average. It has a small gap. It does not close near the high. So this is sort of one of those things where you have to be realistic. Not every uptick is going to be considered a buy. You need to start building these rules. I have some rules as far as closing. I want to see the close to be, the top 30% of the range. I don't like small gaps, so realistically, I would have passed on that trade. I would not have taken that. So we're just going to keep moving. And we'll just keep clicking through. Okay, so you have a nice run here. Is there any way that we could have got involved in this? This is not a bad entry here. Bit extended on the 50-day moving averages is 5 ATR, so that's something I probably would have passed as well. And so the idea is to have such confidence in your system, such high conviction that you have no problem saying no to a trade. Because what happens is you aren't confident in a system, and so you take every trade, or you feel like every trade is a missed opportunity, and that's not the case. So let's take a look here. Is this a trade that you would be willing to take? Almost 2R from the low, so that is a bit extended. 2.5 ATR from the 21-day moving average. Great volume, great closing range. So realistically, are you comfortable in trading something like that? That is up for you to decide. It did work immediately, as you can see. It ended up going 2.5R, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. So you might be a little bit uncomfortable buying a stock that might be perceived as extended. But the more you do these and the more hundreds and thousands of charts that you look through, maybe that doesn't seem so extended after all. Maybe your style, you would prefer to trade that breakout. I would much rather trade this breakout than I would that other breakout. I do like when it's coming off of the 21-day moving average much better than being a little bit more extended. So I'm okay. And this is something that I've developed over the years. I am fine if it's extended, if it's past 1 ATR from the low, as long as it's still within 2 ATR from the 21-day moving average. So that range expansion is required. You have to have range expansion on the breakout candle. Otherwise, it's not a true breakout candle. But as long as it's not extended on from the 21-day moving average or the 50-day moving average, I think that's okay. So these are nuances that you have to learn for your own risk tolerance, your own personality. Does this candle work? Obviously, yes. But does this give you a little bit better risk reward? Of course. So how can we build a system around this? Well, we are in a relative strength phase. We are in an uptrend. Okay, we have a momentum burst, pulls back, it holds a 21-day moving average. This is what we need to do to train our eyes. What I like to do is move the chart so that you see what it looks like before the breakout. So you can identify levels to trade against. I like to use where support becomes resistance. So you can see that there's obviously support here, which has turned into resistance. You don't have to be spot on the money. It can be very dynamic in the sense of whether it is $4.30 or $4.40. I don't think it actually really matters. As long as it's clearing the consolidation wherever your level is, I think it's important that it clears and holds that level there. So does anybody have any questions so far? This is basically what I do all the time. I've done this month after month for years after years. I do this just so I can build confidence in my system, so I know, okay, and then I can kind of tweak my rules. I used to have a really firm rule about not buying a stock that's more than one ATR from its low, but from doing these exercises, I've learned, you know what? It's fine if it's past one ATR, as long as it's still fairly tight against the 21 in the 50-day moving average. So a lot of people would pass on this trade. They would not want to take this trade at the end of the day because it's extended. And I get that it's extended, but it's only extended on one time frame, which is the daily, or from the low. It's not extended from the 50-day moving average. And it's right at the level where I'm comfortable at the 21-day moving average. So is this actually extended? Well, it depends on your definition. Obviously, this moved out pretty quick and pretty nice, reaching 3R in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. So for you to build a system that you're confident in, you need to be able to go through hundreds of these all the time so that you learn some rules. Let's take a look at this. That looks pretty good. Now, did it work? The answer is the low did hold. So yes. So again, like I was just mentioning, it is past 1 ATR from the low. It's about just over 2 from the 21-day moving average, but it's less than 5 on the 50-day. So for me, my levels are, I want the stock to be at or below 2R from the 21-day moving average, and about at or below 4R from the 50-day moving average. If it's a little bit past 1 ATR from the low of the day, I'm fine with that. Because by definition, the stock has to move out. It has to have range expansion in order for it to qualify as a breakout. Are there any questions? Are you guys following along? Am I making sense? Okay. And I think a way for us to get some good insight here is, why don't you guys send some tickers of some stocks that you think are are looking really sharp going into next week, and we can kind of judge for ourselves, or perhaps as a team, to see if they meet some of those kind of criterias, which will be in a relative strength phase, linear movement. If it's within a week to 2 weeks of an earnings gap, that's always very helpful because that's usually the catalyst that kicks it off. Does it have a few tight days? Things of that nature. So this is always one of those tricky situations. It's I typically don't like to buy when a stock has already had a big range day the day before. So, like for me, I would probably skip this entry and prefer to get into a stock when it's coming off of the low like that. So I do like that entry much better. This big nasty sell candle does make me a little bit nervous, but very tight risk. And you can see it worked immediately. And of course, if you're able to catch that move, 4.5R in 1 to 3 days, that is a gift. That is the power of trading momentum. So that's why I encourage you to build the confidence through repetition of going through these charts on the weekend, hundreds of charts, and you can see, okay, maybe this shouldn't scare me after all. That's what I'm trying to figure out. After all these years of me doing this, I look at the numbers here. 1 ATR from the low, 1.8 from the 21, 4.2. So this meets my criteria. So the question is, would I have taken that trade or not? And that would be a game time decision. But ultimately, I need to have the trust and the confidence. So this is a really huge candle here. So a lot of people would not consider buying this near the end of the day. So what I'm doing currently is I'm in a deep dive right now, and I am going through a ton of these charts, and I'm trying to collect data specifically around follow through and how many days it takes to get to 2R based on my system. Right now, I have a really strict system when it comes to buying. I don't have a super strict system when it comes to selling. I kind of let the chart tell me when to sell. And so what I'm trying to do right now is collect data to see, okay, about how many days does it take for me to hit 2R. And then I'm going to start trying to build a strict system about selling profits at 2R. I like to go 3 and 4R, but what I'm noticing is a lot of my trades aren't getting to 3 and 4R. And so I'm thinking, okay, let me go through hundreds of these charts. Where would I buy, and how many days does it take for it to get to 2R? And so that's what I'm doing right now. And so that's why you'll see a lot of these that I've gone through, I'm looking at 2R. So anyway, so 1.2R from the low, ATR from the low, 1.6 from the 21, and then 3.7. So this is very tight, right? We're having that compression. And so what we want to see always is we want to see momentum, compression, and then momentum through that level. Okay? And the moving averages are going to do the same thing. The moving averages are going to be wide, then they get tight, and then they get wide again. So what we want to do is trade when they're tight and then turning back up. So this immediately had follow through. Bam. $1.4R. So this never reached 2R. We'll keep clicking through. Yeah, so you'd be out by now. So this never reached 2R. It got very close. 1.5. Still very good. If typically you would, anytime you get a big range expansion within the first couple of days of your entry, you want to use that as an opportunity to sell. So again, this looks very, very good, right? So you have everything that you require. You have clean, orderly momentum. You have a pullback. And then you have the range expansion through that level. Let's take a look at the numbers. Okay, so a little bit extended, right? So that's why I do prefer it not to have that big day prior. But again, it does fit loosely in our criteria. 1.5 ATR, a little bit extended from the low. 21-day moving average is 5.2 ATR, so kind of past my criteria. Maybe stretching it to 2.5 is okay, as long as the 50-day moving average is tight, and we are under the 5-day. We are under 5 ATR on that 50-day moving average. So this does qualify. And so what do we see happen? It has immediate follow through, big gap up, and then it starts to trend very, very nicely. So let's see some of the numbers here. So we take this, and immediately you are at you're at 2R in 1, 2, 3 days. And if you got it all the way, this thing is a monster. 5R, you'd be selling into all of this. At this point, you would be very small position. You can see that the top wicks are starting to come down now, which means that there is a lot of selling pressure. One there. So that would tell you it would be time to get out. And it moves higher. Unbelievable. Very strong. Anyway, so this doesn't happen all the time. This is the anomaly. But this is, of course, the power of our system. Bam. Very impressive move. Something to study. June 3rd, 2025, MU. Entry would have been right at that $100 level, $99.67. And again, it was extended by most people's account. Buying past 1 ATR on the daily is a huge red flag. But what I'm learning from doing these deep dives myself, after doing this for 8 years, I'm loosening up that criteria because it does show tightness on other time frames, which is the 21-day and the 50-day moving averages. Can I answer any questions? Please let me know. I don't typically trade bioscience, biotech, but this is a fantastic move here. So they're pretty extended though. 6 ATR on the 50-day moving average, so I definitely would not have taken this trade. Because A, it's a biotech, but also it was past 5 ATR. But it doesn't matter because it kept going. That's the power. Some of these biotechs really fly, but most of them are junk. Okay, so if nobody else has questions, I'm going to wrap it up. I was hoping to have a little bit more questions in the chat, but it doesn't seem like you guys have a lot of questions. Okay, well, I appreciate you guys spending some time with me. If you have any questions, just keep me as a resource. I'm always available in the chat. during the market hours and on the weekends at night. I hardly sleep. So let me know if you have any questions. If not, have a good weekend. And I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
I cannot hear you, Sim. Okay. Well, then I'm going to end it here.